It is worth the drive up to 20,000 off. Ram 1500s, Dodge Durangos, Jeep Grand Cherokees. Oof. Get mama a Grand Cherokee for the winter. 20 grand off. What a deal. Eric, we're doing this on a Friday. Like, how's your Friday afternoon usually go? What are you usually up to on a Friday afternoon?
I'm a little embarrassed to say that I'm a big tennis player. I play 3 times a week. Every Friday, I play 2 hours of tennis, and then I hit the pub for 2 hours, and then we see where the night takes us. But it doesn't take us out on the town anymore. I can tell you that. It just might take me to bed.
Not sure what's there to be embarrassed about that little activity, and then to the pub makes sense to me.
Tennis. Are you decent at table tennis then?
I'm a better tennis player than table tennis, but I like to think that I have pretty good hand-eye. I grew up with a pool table, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Everybody wanted to play pool when they came to my house. Other guys had ping pong tables I wanted to play. They never wanted to play. It's whatever you got at your house, you don't want to play it because everyone wants to play it.
Pool, snooker guys. I just never. I try to play it, and you have to have a slate. Like you go to someone's house and they don't have a slate table, and it's all warped.
Yeah,
it's like, well, no, that's table tennis. My favorite 2 places to play table tennis in the entire world, and now my son's, Meadow Lake, Montana Resort, and the Great Northern in Whitefish, Montana. They have a ping pong table there. The best. Have a few pints, beat the boy with one hand. It's fantastic.
That's a big ping pong region through there, or northern Montana.
Yeah, they had states like 4 years. They had states 4 years in a row. The Big Sky Conference champs. Calgary
ping pong region. Oh my God. There's a bar in Toronto. Sorry, we always get off topic, but that's part of the.
Who cares?
There's a bar in Toronto called Spin. Now I don't know if it's still there, but I was there about 10 years ago, and there are like 50 ping pong tables. It's a pretty big, like basically bar/pub. And when you get your table, there's balls all over the floor. So, the crappy thing when you're playing is you got to run after the ball. Well, they've got a net on both sides of the net. There's a big basket with like 40 balls in it. So you don't have to keep running around grabbing all the balls. But everybody is there to play ping pong. And can I tell a ping pong story?
I think you are.
I want the next episode. I'm going to tell one about Whitefish. The floor is yours. Ping pong expert Eric Francis, brought to you by Southie Mainline Chrysler. Go.
I have an Olympic ping pong story for you. I was at my first Olympics. I had some time to kill before some event, and I had heard about some guy from North America who was beating all the favorites in table tennis. So I thought that would actually be a pretty cool sport to see live. Like we all see it on TV and marvel at the speed and everything. So I go in, I cover, and this guy beats one of the favorites from an Asian country, and there's like 50 journalists waiting for the loser because of the shame that he lost to this guy from America. And they have to run the gauntlet. They have to go by all the media. There wasn't a single North American journalist there that wanted to talk to the winner. So I just kind of grabbed him. I thought, oh my God, I bet this is an interesting story. Like, how did this guy get into it? I had done no research. I just thought I was just fishing. And I grabbed him, I say, hi, blah, blah. And I said, listen, and for lack of a better term, all I said was, my first question was something to the effect, how long have you been playing competitive ping pong? And he said, first of all, it's table tennis. Second of all, this interview is over. And he grabbed his little bag with his little knee-high socks and he waddled off in a huff. He was so mad that I disgraced his sport by calling it ping pong. There you go. That's the last ping pong tournament I ever covered.
Do you remember his name?
No. And nobody, I tell journalism schools this, nobody will ever remember his name because he passed up an opportunity for someone in his continent to write about ping pong for the very first time. So forever, I will call it ping pong. And second of all, screw him. He missed a good opportunity.
90% chance he's from the Whitefish, Montana region.
Likely.
Likely. Corridor.
Yeah, the corridor.
Have you, speaking of bars, when you're in Phoenix, so when Phoenix doesn't have a team anymore, have you ever been to the Deuce in Phoenix, the bar?
No, not
Okay,
the actual bar, no.
It's down. It's about 4 or 5 blocks from the baseball slash. What is it? It's not Old America West. It's about 5 blocks from there. Look it up, Eric. After this, we're done. There's probably 12, 16 ping pong tables. There's a boxing ring. There is I think there's pickleball now. It's like a big warehouse and it's a bar. There's so many different. There's food trucks inside of it. It's super wild. Cornhole, like if you're a cornhole guy, you love it. It's called the Deuce in Phoenix. No free plugs, but we just gave them one. Aren't you going to the game tonight? Like Nashville's in town.
Yeah, I got to go to that. But going back to Phoenix, isn't that the cornhole corridor? That whole region, isn't that where all the good cornholers come from?
Pickleball.
Yeah, more recreational through there, I think. But yeah, it's a hot spot. I'm still hung up on this place having a boxing ring.
Yeah.
How does that fit into everything?
I know that could get dangerous. For sure.
Oh my God, what a liability in America! Yeah, no.
Those cornhole athletes, they don't like how things are going, and they decide to hop into the ring.
They go if you don't like how things are going, you go into the transfer portal.
That's right.
So what do you think? What are you thinking? Nashville, Nashville's got to start winning hockey games here, Eric.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking, eh? I mean, to me, the interesting thing about the matchup tonight is it's Dustin Wolf against UC Saros, and all along when everyone wondered if Dustin Wolf could ever make that step to the NHL, just despite his size, everyone always pointed to UC Saros and said, well, there's another guy who's small and he's made it and been one of the better goalies in the National Hockey League. And Dustin Wolf has kind of modeled his game after UC Saros. He was talking to me about it. So that's kind of the intriguing thing about the matchup tonight. But you're right, both these teams have got to start kind of getting it going. I know the Flames had a good start, but they've lost 8 of their last 11. And they're in jeopardy of kind of throwing that good start away. And Nashville, yeah, they're starting to run out of time. Like you got to start winning soon.
What is that? Is that the first head coaching casualty, possibly?
Could be. I mean, as we move along, there are more and more candidates who start to come out of the list, and those betting sites start to list guys a little higher up. But yeah, absolutely, because nobody expected this. Everyone thought they had loaded up in the offseason with Marchessault and Stamkos, and they were actually going to be better, not way worse. But I also look, each of the last 5 years, they've had a losing record at this point in the season. So they haven't started well for quite a lot of years.
When we were talking a few weeks ago, we were mentioning here that it's still pretty early to start painting teams a certain way based on their start to the season. But there's a belief around the league or around fans and media that by American Thanksgiving, you've kind of identified who you are. And there was a stat years ago about if you're out of the playoffs at American Thanksgiving, you have a slim chance of making it, save for 1 or 2 points out. But are we comfortable to start labeling teams, and teams like Nashville, are they who they are, or do we still believe there's a lot of runway left here for teams to turn things around, just like the Oilers?
Yeah, I mean, look at the Oilers. They were, a couple goals short of winning the cup. That's a bit of an anomaly. And I think the stats are something like 15% of the time that teams are outside of the playoffs at the U.S. Thanksgiving. Only 15% of the time they can make the playoffs or something like that. But I'm not ready to count Nashville out. I just still think on paper they've got a lot of the ingredients you need to make the playoffs. Right now, it's funny, with the death of newspapers, I used to look at the standings on a daily basis. I don't look at them as much that much. I literally don't even know if the team I cover for a living is in a playoff spot right now. But if you're going to tell me that you think the Calgary Flames are in a playoff, going to stay in a playoff spot, I'm not buying that either. So, we still got, a week and a half, or I guess, just less than a week till 2 weeks until U.S. Thanksgiving. Yeah. So still, teams can jockey around it. It's telling for sure, but I'm not willing to write off many teams at this point.
They would be right in the hunt right now if the playoffs started.
They're in.
If we want to go Is there a team that, I know we talked a lot about Winnipeg on Wednesday. Is there a team the other way this year that surprised you? Is it Minnesota that's kind of came out of the gate with more than expected?
I want to say Utah at the beginning, but they've kind of faded back. They had a pretty good couple games anyway. But Minnesota didn't surprise me. You're right. Winnipeg's got to be, obviously, that's at the top of everyone's list. Nobody could say they saw anything like that. I mean, we've never seen a start like that in NHL history. Conversely, a team that is not dominating like I thought they would be is the New York Rangers. I just think on paper they've got everything you need to be a legitimate contender. And I'd be surprised if they're not, when we get down to the East final or East semifinal, or East final, that if they're not there. I think they're that good, but they haven't really been putting it together like you think they'd be able to.
Watching Hellebuck and Shesterkin, like the goaltending in that game was unbelievable. It's funny when you look at the hottest teams in the NHL, winning streak-wise, you got the Avs that have won 3 in a row, and the Oilers that have won 3 in a row. Seattle's won 3 in a row. But when you look at losing streaks, hands down, it's Columbus. They've lost 6 in a row. So that's tough. Okay, let's put hockey aside. Let's talk about the sweet science. Right? Speaking of boxing rings.
Yeah.
Tonight, we got Tyson versus Paul. I don't even know where to go. Like, should he be doing this?
Yeah, he should. I mean, it's a lot of money, and it's what the people want to see. Like, I'm fascinated by this thing. I watched all 3 parts of that Netflix, preamble into the fight tonight. And I'm sad that the Flames are playing tonight because I would love to watch. Listen, I really miss, and you guys are a lot younger, but like I miss the days 20, 30 years ago when the world stopped and paid attention to a heavyweight boxing championship. Like, what was the last one? There's a good kind of trivia question for it. Was it Holyfield Tyson? And I know there have been some big fights since, but not really, really big where the world was aware that it was happening.
Well, no, it was crazy Irish guy.
McGregor?
When he came in and Mayweather. Like, that was an exhibition bout, I guess.
Same thing, but I'm with Eric. Like that, we looked it up earlier. It was November '96 was the Tyson Holyfield, and I literally remember 50 of us in a friend's house with pay-per-view and around the TV, and like that speaks to how kind of insane in a way tonight's match is for Tyson. That was at the tail end. That's when people looked at him and said he's done. It's over for him. That was '96, and now he's getting back into the ring. So it's I go back and forth whether this is a real thing or whether we're going to see 2 guys in there just swinging for the fences, and I guess we'll find out. But I watched the Netflix show too. I was absolutely enthralled by it. I thought it was amazing, them going back and forth and throwing pot shots at each other, and I think it's going to be a cool event to watch. Whether it's legit or not, we'll find out.
Yeah, comment, Curtis. Hold on. Curtis has a comment.
Jump in, yeah.
He wasn't alive the last time Mike Tyson fought. Seriously.
Yeah, that's true. I was born in '98. The last thing I remember being like a big public event was the other Paul brother, Logan Paul, fighting Floyd Mayweather. That was kind of the last thing I remember everyone
That was the brother that fought him?
Yeah. The other one.
Oh.
So they
awesome.
like fighting anyone that they can get a lot of publicity doing.
And I was wrong.
Like,
I thought Tupac Shakur was shot on the night of one of the Tyson Holyfields. It was when Tyson was fighting Bruce Seldon, whoever that is. That's so yeah. Pour one out for Tupac tonight when you're at the pub. Okay, go ahead, Eric. What else on this boat?
Well, no, it's funny. I was going around the Flames dressing room today asking every player, like, Paul or Tyson. And, like, there's a part of me that hates even talking about it because Jake Paul is, like, just despicable. Like, it disgusts me that there's a kid that's made billions of dollars off of YouTube videos by being a dink. But I got to give him credit, and I'll go this far, and I'll say that he's the best thing that's happened to boxing in 2 decades. Like, I'll go that far. And he's a legit boxer. Like, I've watched the documentary. Before this one, there was a documentary a year or 2 ago about this clown, and my kids are all over him. They love him. And I watch it, and I'm like, oh, my God, I hate to say this, but he's legit, and he's brought excitement back to a sport that was dead. And we all know, you call it the sweet science, and I agree that, when Cassius Clay was fighting and Muhammad Ali, all these, back in the day, it was about that. But then it became all about just who was the biggest hype man. Like, another argument could be made that Conor McGregor, when he fought someone, who did he box? And that was probably one of the last times I ever watched. Yeah, that was the last time I ever went to a bar and watched a fight. At the end of the day, all I'm saying is I was so excited. I'm so excited about this because we're all watching it. Some people are talking about it. It's going to generate a ton of money. Every single flame I asked, every single one said, well, I hope Tyson knocks his head off. But they all then said, but I think Jake Paul's going to win. That's how exactly.
I feel. Yeah. Boxing hasn't had this much hype since Scotty the Bulldog Olsen and Willie DeWitt. Oh, remember those two Canadians?
Fight night at the Agrodome.
It's going to be an interesting watch. My son plays tomorrow in Saskatoon at Harold Latrace, and we might go for pre-drinks at Bridges. We could see a better scrap there than we see tonight. But 27 years old to 58. Like, so did you hear though that there's some doctors that haven't even cleared him yet, or saying, and there's definitely doctors telling him don't do this, Mike?
Well, common sense almost tells you don't do it. Like, they canceled the fight 3 months ago. They canceled the fight because his ulcer flared up. Like, are you kidding me? This is what we're talking about right now. That's like saying his arthritis or his bad hip or something.
Gout.
Started to
gout.
He's out with gout.
Yeah. Keep the gout down.
He got shingles. His shingles were bad. So he has a statement in that documentary I watched last night, just saying, if I don't want to die, I want to die in the ring one day. Yeah. Like, if I'm going to die anywhere, I don't want to be in a hospital. I want to die in the ring. And you're like, God, I hope that we don't have to replay that quote sometime because Jake caught him with a bad one. Like, I think the biggest question going into the fight is whether a 58-year-old can absorb a punch like a former heavyweight champion used to be able to absorb. Like, that's the most amazing thing about boxing to me, period, is the way these guys can take this abuse. And I don't know if you can still do it at age 58. So I'm not sure it's dangerous.
It's an interesting watch. And it's not pay-per-view. It's Netflix.
Well, and that's what's going to help the numbers and that interest to it so much, is the accessibility to it is off the charts worldwide. So there's going to be a lot of people tuning in, and little Netflix and chill tonight with a Tyson match.
Oh, wow. Order a Western pizza wheel, crack a couple beers. You'll be at the hockey game, unfortunately. Yeah, that's a tough one. Anyway, top U.S. table tennis player currently is Nikhil Kumar on the male side. So I'm pretty sure that wasn't the guy you interviewed. But just so we clear up the ping pong, we circle back. And he's not from Montana. Not from Montana.
Well.
Interesting. Okay, let's... it's going to be fun to do it on Monday, and we can talk about this fun
debrief.
Hopefully nothing crazy like that happened. Hey, did you look at it? Oh, he slapped him. He didn't even move. That's the thing that scares me. He slapped him. It's like when Leo Desome and Adult Safe got punched by Leach and he didn't move. I was like, whoa, he didn't even move.
Trouble.
Did you hear about the guy, speaking of morbid parts of the show, the guy that was found dead 3 days later in a tanning bed in Planet Fitness in Indianapolis?
Oh my God, did he fry to death like a piece of bacon?
They couldn't find him, and then 3 days later they find. We're not sure on that, but possibly some other things. But yeah, they couldn't find him, so then they went and looked at the tanning. They couldn't understand what the smell was. And then I know, isn't it? Okay, so the next time you go to the gym to play tennis, check the tanning beds. We'll talk Monday, Eric.
Cheers, boys. Yeah,
thanks,
enjoy
Eric.
the fight.